My name is Dr. Carole Quigley, and I'm a lecturer in the Department of Drama and Theatre Studies in Mary I. And I'm on here, guys, to talk to you today for a few minutes about the 4-year BA in Contemporary and Applied Theatre Studies that we offer down in Mary Immaculate College. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you guys for a few minutes first, just about the programme in general, and then thankfully a load of you guys have sent in some really great questions, so I'm going to go through them, and I will also take live questions from this stream here. So, as I said, my name is Dr. Carole Quigley. Please always just call me Carole. I feel a bit too professional now of people to be calling me Dr. Carole. So, as I said, I'm a lecturer on the 4-year BA in Contemporary and Applied Theatre Studies in Mary Immaculate College. It's a 4-year programme that has 3 years on campus teaching. With your 3rd year, you are off campus, either doing a placement or study abroad. So I have some questions on that, so we'll go through that in a few minutes. So basically, why the programme is called Contemporary and Applied Theatre Studies is because it is a theatre programme, like you'll see in other universities around the country, but there's a heavy focus within it on contemporary theatre. So what we mean by contemporary theatre is very much kind of what's going on today in theatre, what's going on all around Ireland, what's going on around the world. All of the staff members in the department are what we call research active, which means that we're all continually writing and researching on new and emerging theatre practices, and we bring those into the classroom to you guys. So yes, we absolutely do cover all of the basics, the history. We go right back as far as the Greeks and the whole way throughout theatre history. But there is a heavy emphasis on contemporary theatre. When I talk about applied theatre, what I mean by that is that we look at theatre not in a traditional theatre setting all of the time. So absolutely, theatre taking place in a normal theatre building is brilliant, and we do look at that and we do study that. But we also think about theatre outside of that, so theatre out in the community, different kinds of theatre groups, different ways of making theatre that don't strictly involve a traditional theatre building. So that's why we call the programme Contemporary and Applied Theatre Studies. So what I'll do now is I'll go through some of your questions, and then I'll take some more from you guys if you have them. So one of the first questions we got was, is the programme mainly acting, or does it cover everything in relation to theatre? The course itself is kind of split 50-50 between practical work and what we call theoretical work, or traditional kind of chalk and talk lecture styles. It's kind of 50-50 with that. Now, within all of the practical work itself, it is not just acting. Absolutely, if you've a keen interest in acting, it is a great programme and you do get to act a lot. But within the practical work, we also do a huge amount of work on different elements of technical theatre. We look at all different roles within a theatre company, with producing, writing, directing, tech support, lighting, sound, costuming, all the rest of it. And we also have practical classes that look at different elements. So, for example, we've a module in 1st year on masks and puppetry in theatre. We have a module in 2nd year on storytelling and poetry and performance and all of that kind of thing. So within the practical work itself, even that is not just acting. There's a huge range and variety within the programme for that. So what I would say is that if you have an interest in acting, it's a great programme. But if you think you've more of an interest in backstage or different types of production work, it's also still a great programme for you, because we cover a huge amount. And there is a requirement for you to act in 1st year, but after 1st year you don't have to act. So if you decide that you'd rather be in a different element of the stage, you can then move on and work in different elements like that. And then with the theoretical side, we cover everything, really. We do a bit of everything. So as I said before, we go, right back to the beginnings of theatre history and where it came from, work the whole way through, the last 2,500 years of theatre history, up until what's going on today. So then we have the more chalk and talk lectures that kind of cover a lot of those elements. But what's great about the programme is that we're able to combine kind of the learning that you get in the more theoretical classes with some of the practical work that you do. So it's really kind of, it's a well-rounded program like that. And just on that, if you do the Contemporary and Applied Theatre Studies degree itself, there is no choice within modules, because what we've done is we've designed a program whereby all of the different modules cover different elements. So there's no choice, there's no rush when you join college to register for modules, anything like that. There's nothing that, you have to do this module in order to that module. No, if you are on the BA in Contemporary and Applied Theatre Studies, then you are able to take all of our modules, and it's specifically designed in that way. So how long is the course? It's 4 years. So as I said, it's three on-campus years, 3 traditional teaching years, and then in your third year, you have 2 options. You can either study abroad or you can work on a placement. And I've had several questions in about that kind of year, so I'll talk about that for a minute. So with your third year, as I said, you can either study abroad or you can do a placement, or you can do both. It is possible for you to do 1 semester of placement and 1 semester of study abroad. With the placement itself, basically all of the staff members within the department, as I said, are research active, and we've all worked in theatre. So we have great kind of contacts, and we know a huge amount of people working within the theatre industry in Ireland. So what we like to do for the placement is that if you come to us, generally at the start of second year is when we start looking at where you would be put for your placement. So if you come to us and say, I have a particular interest in lighting or costume design or producing or whatever it may be, what we will do is we will pair you up with a company, a theatre company in Ireland, that will help you to work on that specific element. Or if you come and say, you know what, I just want kind of general experience or to work in a general way, we can also help you with that. So some of our placement students, they've worked all over the country, with a huge amount of different theatre companies. We've strong links, with Branner up in Galway. We had a student working with Landmark Productions on Louise O'Neill's work last year, and she was working up in the Gaiety and in the Everyman in Cork. We've had students working with Cyclone, with Fidget Feet, with Smashing Times in Dublin. So we've connections all over the country, which is great for you guys, because you'll get the best fit placement for you. And several of our students have also gone on to get jobs based on their placements. So after they graduate at the end of 4th year, they've been then asked back by the company that they were working with, and have gotten a job as a result. So that's great. So then with the study abroad, we have partner links with different universities throughout the world. So there's a few in the UK, we've America, and we've several places around Europe for you guys to go to. So as I said, you can either go for a semester or for a full year. Now that can depend on where you go, because some of the study abroad places are 1 year only. They will only take you for the entire year, as opposed to just 1 semester. So that kind of depends. But we talk you through all of your options with that. And what you do basically is that you get to choose modules similar to the kinds of, drama and theatre modules that you would be studying in Ireland. And we'll work with you to decide which modules are best for you to take up, and you get to study abroad and study somewhere else. I had a few questions coming in about kind of the cost of study abroad. So one of the great things about study abroad is that you only have to pay your MIC fees. So you pay your normal MIC fees that you would have been paying if you were studying here anyway, and then it's cost of living. So it very much depends on where you're going, and we go through all of that with you in detail, and also we've the dedicated study abroad team in MIC who can help you with all of that, and explain any possible ways of getting grants or looking at any of that. So we try and make it as affordable as possible for you. So yeah, that's kind of a lot of the placement information. How many people do you take on the course? It really kind of depends. What we like to do is to keep the course quite small, because it becomes a very kind of close-knit group of students working together, and particularly when you're working on shows throughout your time with us. So generally we've about 10 students every year. But don't let that worry you. We are very accommodating, and we would work with you to help you get on the course and all of that kind of thing. So yeah, it's normally about 10 students. And most of your modules will be with your core group. So with the students who are the full-time students in the BA in Contemporary and Applied Theatre Studies. But you will also have some of your modules will be taken with students who are doing a joint BA. So some students from MIC who are doing a BA in drama and another subject will take some of the modules with you. You will also get to study with some international students who come to MIC for either a year or a semester, and they take different drama modules. And then you will also have some MIC students who take drama electives. So while it is usually your core group working together, you will get to work with a lot of other students throughout your time in MIC. What do we have next? How many points do you need? So this kind of depends year to year. I know last year it was 345, so generally it's in line with general arts courses either in Limerick or throughout the country. It has been slightly lower before. It has been down to about 300, I think. So yeah, between 3 and 345 ish, if you're coming straight from the CAO. Job opportunities. This is one of my favourite questions because it's something that I always get asked at all of the open days, generally by parents. They say, yeah, great, they're going to go off and study drama for 4 years, and then what? So one thing that I like to talk about with a drama degree is this concept of transferable skills, okay? So what I mean by that is that do you come out of this program in 4 years' time as an actor or as a director or as a producer? No. What you do is you come out with a set of skills that will help you to go into, to be honest, any kind of route or avenue that you want to go in, okay? So obviously a huge number of our students do want to go on and work in theatre, and that's great. But some of our students don't, and they decide that actually they want to take their skills and apply them somewhere else. And I mean, one of the first things I always say when parents ask me, yes, but what about job prospects? I say, well, I'm a drama graduate and I have a job. So, definitely within that, coming through an undergraduate in drama and theatre studies, you can always go on to further study within drama and theatre studies, and then go on to academia. All drama academics are drama graduates, so there's very much that avenue and further study and all of that. You can also go on and work in any element of the theatre, as I said, or you can take it to industry. So, for example, some of the best salespeople I know, some of the best marketing people I know, some of the best business people I know are actually drama graduates. And the reason I say that is because doing a drama degree, you're getting your general arts education, which is great. It's doing an arts degree in college is about teaching you how to think and teaching you how to learn and expanding kind of your horizons in that way. But doing a drama degree gives you a particular set of skills around kind of creativity, around problem solving, around confidence, that enable you to go on and work in any way that you want to, really. Because, on the creativity element, as part of this program, you're going to be working on several full-length shows throughout, which I'll talk about in a minute. You're going to be working on many different projects with other people. You have a chance to work creatively. A lot of the assessments that you do are very creatively based. So we really, really teach you how to think creatively and how to work creatively. With problem solving, I mean, it's opening night, the lights, there's a problem with them, they're not going on, problem solve. That's the reality of working in theatre, is that you have to learn to problem solve and you have to learn to think on your feet. And what we do is we teach you that in a kind of a safe, nurturing environment within our program, which will then help you going on and going forward with that kind of a thing. And confidence. I mean, talking about teaching confidence. Well, we've had some students come in who have no acting experience, have never stood on a stage, just like drama, and wanted to give the course a shot, but they're very, very nervous going on stage. And, you know, through many of our assessments, through many of our modules, you really get to become confident within yourself and to feel confident to stand up and say, well, I'm presenting my idea, or I'm presenting my project, or I'm presenting my monologue, or I'm acting, or here's my idea for directing, or whatever it is. And it's massively important for building your confidence. So unlike other programs whereby you wouldn't necessarily get that chance to stand up and to put yourself forward in such a way, you get that with our program, and it's fantastic for confidence building. So yeah, when people say, what are the job prospects? The job prospects are endless with a drama degree. And I know that might seem a bit, yeah, but I really, really mean it. You will come out of this program, if nothing else, you will come out of this program with a very kind of broad range of skills. I sound a bit like Liam Neeson and Taken there. with a broad range of skills that you will be able to apply to a whole load of different jobs and a whole load of different opportunities. So look, I totally understand that in, you know, current climate that we're living in, you are coming out of school, you know, and going, well, what job am I going to get? I would say, don't necessarily worry about the exact job you're going to get. Instead, come into a program like this and say, what are my opportunities? And the opportunities are going to come. And they're going to be wide reaching, the opportunities that you can have from this. So yeah, basically job prospects, the amount of transferable skills that you learn within this program are really going to set you up no matter what you decide to do. So I said there that I just come back to the assessment for a few minutes, because a lot of students often ask, oh, well, I'm terrible at exams, or I'm terrible at this, or I don't, you know, like particular things. We've specifically structured the program so that there's a wide range of different types of assessments throughout the program. So you may only have one traditional written exam a semester, if that. You won't always have a traditional exam. We assess in a lot of different ways. So obviously with our performance modules, we will have students based on their performance, based on their rehearsal contribution, based on their work in the rehearsal room, all of that kind of thing. That's how we would grade. We have traditional essays, you know, so for a lot of the theoretical modules, in lieu of exams, we would do written essays instead. And part of the reason for that is that we feel that giving you the space and the time to create an essay that you've researched and that you've worked on is more beneficial than you going, right, I'm just going to learn off a load of quotes and give them out in an exam. So we would do a lot of essays for the traditional modules. A lot of performances. Then we also do interviews. Some of our assessment is done via interview. So for example, with some of the full-length show modules, afterwards, after you've finished the performance, and we ask you to critically reflect on the entire process that you've just gone through, you're not going to want to sit down the week after show and write a 2,000-word essay. So what we often do is we bring students in for a recorded interview, because we feel that that's a better way of allowing them to speak freely about their critical reflection. So, you know, we do that. And then some of our project-based modules, you're presenting a project based on what the module is. So, for example, in the first semester of first year, you do a technical theatre and production module, whereby you have, each week, you have different workshops with different industry professionals who come in. So, for example, you know, we'll have producers coming in, lighting designers coming in, costumes, makeup, all of that. They will come in and give you a workshop and kind of give you the basics on all of these different aspects of theatre. And then the assessment for that module, generally, now obviously things can always change, but generally it's about you compiling a technical production workbook, whereby you decide, okay, theoretically, I'm putting on whatever show this is, and I'm going to create the workbook based on if I was directing this show. So, you know, you would go through lighting design, sound design, costumes, props, all of that kind of thing, and you would submit something like that. And then, you know, for example, in fourth year, when you take on a module in scenography, part of the assessment for that is to actually create a model box. So you've come up with this design for a particular scene in a show, and you actually construct the model box and you submit it that way. So, you know, our are different types of assessments. They're designed so that there's kind of something for everybody. So everybody will have something that they are really, really comfortable in and really, really excited by. And that nobody will feel, well, I know I'm great in class, but I hate this particular type of assessment, so therefore I'm not going to do well. You know, so we really structure it like that. As I mentioned throughout there, the full length productions. So as I said, 4-year programs, and you're on campus in first, second and fourth year. So in first, second and fourth year, you take part in 3 one a year full length shows. So Ensemble 1, Ensemble 2 and Ensemble 3. So basically the idea is that all students, regardless of you know, what element of theatre they specifically want to go into, they will all take part in these 3 full-length shows. So in first year, in the second semester of first year, we have a professional director come in, usually you know, somebody who works a lot around Limerick, but not always. Last year we had Joan Sheehy come down from Dublin to work with our fourth years. So yeah, we have a professional director come in. We choose a known script, so that means just something that has been written before. It's not created by the students. And you work for generally about 12 weeks. It's usually the length of the semester with the director. Everything from the very first rehearsal to, you know, opening night. And all students are involved, all BA CAT students are involved in the entire process. So you will have, in first year, you will have a performance role and you will also have a production role. So you may be in charge of designing the poster for the show or designing the costumes or something like that. And that show takes place down in the Bell Table Theatre in Limerick City Centre. So just to say that we're incredibly lucky. As part of our programme, we have access to 2 really, really good theatres in Limerick City. So the Lime Tree Theatre is actually on campus. In MIC, and then we've connections with the Bell Table down on O'Connell Street in Limerick City Centre. So your first year show goes on in the Bell Table, and it's put up like a full professional production. It's very important for us to kind of teach professional standards to our students. So that's what we do. So that's your first year show, and then in second year, in the first semester of second year, you've Ensemble 2. Now this is a different type of a show in that this is what we call devised and site-specific theatre. So by devised theatre, what I mean is that it's actually the students who create the show from scratch. So you come in on the very first day of rehearsals with no script, no plot, no idea where you want to put it, no characters, nothing. And the students work together with the director. Now, the director for the second year show is usually a full-time staff member from the department. And you work together over the 12 weeks to create a full-length show. So that's what we mean by devised theatre. And there is a heavy emphasis on devising throughout your programme. So yeah, you have full ownership and authorship over the show that you all work on together. And it's a similar thing whereby everybody will be involved in the performance side of it. But also everybody will have a production role. And that's a really great module for learning all of the different elements of theatre or what goes into actually creating a show from scratch. And then it's site specific because we don't do it in a traditional theatre building. What we do is we find somewhere, usually on campus, that we feel is an interesting place for us to put the show on. So for example, a number of years ago, I did one where the show was based on a ghost story. It's about a ghost story. So what we decided to do was we used the original building on campus, Somerville House, which has that kind of old house feel to it. And we used that as the setting for this kind of ghost story tale. And then the year before, we had the show focused on a number of people who were trapped in an old church overnight because they didn't know what was going on outside. They were just told to stay in there. So what we did was we used a deconsecrated church that's on the back of campus. So that's what we mean by site specific, in that we choose a location on campus that responds to and helps to inform the text. And we create it using that. So these are pieces that can only exist because of the people in the room and the space that you do it in. So it's a really, really exciting project to be part of. And it's a great space to be incredibly creative and to, because there's no such thing as a bad idea when you're creating a show from scratch. So that's Ensemble 2. Excuse me. And then in the second semester of fourth year, you have Ensemble 3, where again, we bring in a professional director, and we work with a known script, and that show takes place in the Lime Tree Theatre. So it's really nice that, you know, your final performance together takes place on the Lime Tree stage. So yeah, they're the 3 full-length productions. What other questions do I have there? I think through me, Rabbit, none have kind of covered a lot of the questions there. Oh yeah, one other thing to say is that a lot of students ask, you know, well, do we go and see theatre or that kind of a thing, you know, throughout. Yes, we design. So I'm in charge of the theatre visits program for the department. So basically what I do every semester is I find a number of shows. Generally, they will be in Limerick. There might be 1 or 2 kind of where we travel for them, but generally I try and keep it to the Lime Tree, the Bell Table. I pick a specific number of shows, at different types of shows, that you then get free tickets to. Because it's really important for us that students get to go and see live theatre that's going on around us. There's always a good mix of kind of more well-known plays being put on, you know, in a contemporary version, or just brand new work being put on. So yeah, essentially being a student on our program means that you get to go and see usually about 7 or 8 shows every semester for free. So yeah, that's a kind of a good upside to the program. I'm just going to have a flick through here and see if there's any specific questions that I haven't already answered. And if any of you guys have any questions now, feel free to pop them in on the live. But other things to say then. I think I've kind of covered most. Well, I've certainly kind of covered most of the questions that have come in for us here. So yeah, big things. It's not just acting. You know, it's practical and it's theoretical work. There is we do some elements of actor training throughout. So people always say, you know, is it an actor training program? No, it is not an actor training program, but we do elements of actor training within it. So for example, in first year you take a module with me called Movement, Body and Voice in Theatre. And what I do in that is I go through the basics of a huge number of different kind of well-known actor training techniques. So you do get some element of that. You do learn the basics of it. And the idea is that if you find a particular method that really works for you, you know, you're invited then to kind of go off and look into that more, but you do get the introduction to it. So Josh has asked, what are the faculties like on campus? Well, from a theatre point of view, as I said, we have the Lime Tree on campus and we have the Bell Table down the city centre. General faculties on campus are pretty good. You know, we have different spaces that we use for all of our practical modules that, you know, are kind of not traditional classroom spaces. I don't know if you're asking like faculties in general. I mean, you know, I'm probably not the best person to ask for that, but, you know, we have all kind of shop, ATM, canteen, all of that kind of thing on campus as well. So just, Eve is asking, just wondering if Limerick has a busy theatre community. Yes, it very much does. There's a really thriving theatre community and arts community within Limerick City. And what's really nice is that our department kind of sits well into the heart of that. So for example, because of our number of connections and you know, working with theatre companies from around Limerick, it means that then we're able to get our students involved in a huge number of shows. So for example, last year, or was it the year before? No, it was last year. There was a massive show called Bread Not Profits, which took place in the old Cleves condensed milk factory, and that was a site-specific performance that took place there. Really important, really high profile, won an Irish Times Theatre Award, and a huge number of our students were able to get involved and to work on the production. So it was really great experience for them. to see, all of these professional actors and theatre makers working together, and the experience that they got just from taking part in that. So yes, there is a really, really important and thriving arts and theatre community within Limerick, and our students are very, very much invited to be a part of that. And even some of our students have gone on, to set up their own theatre companies and to start working that way. And they, have great mentorship from other people working in Limerick. So it's fantastic. How does having a QQI award get you into the course? I'm unsure exactly. I'm not the right person to ask for that. So that would be more kind of student services and stuff like that to ask. They would be the right people to ask for that one. If your aspirations are to become an actor, would you recommend this course? Yes. And the reason I say that is because in order to become an actor, you need a foundation. Now, this might be a personal bias, but honestly, I believe, particularly if you're coming out of Leaving Cert, you need to understand the foundations before you can kind of really refine your craft. So I would be much more of the opinion that you need a grounding in a decent drama arts degree before you would go on. And why I say that is, for example, as I mentioned, with the intro to actor training that I would do with you guys, I don't just do the practical, these are the actions, these are the exercises, all of that, but I do the theory behind it, so you have a great understanding of where it came from. We contextualize everything. So, even when we look throughout different actor training movements throughout history, we look at what was going on in theatre at the time, what was going on politically at the time, socially, historically, all of that kind of thing, in order for you to really understand where it came from. And that helps you to use these techniques more fully. Also, it's brilliant that you don't pigeonhole yourself immediately as, right, I want to be an actor. What you do is you get experience in stage managing, directing, writing, all of that, which even if you want to be an actor, fantastic, still go on and do that. But it also gives you a greater understanding of how those other kind of elements of theatre work and how you can go on and work within those. So yes, I very, very, very much think it's a fantastic place for you to nurture your craft, because you get to act and you get to work on stage, but you also get to learn so much more, which will ultimately kind of just help you going on. Is the movement class a dance class? This is, I promise it is not, because I've had a lot of students before going, I'm not a dancer, I am a dancer, I'm not a dancer, I am a dancer. And I have historically been a dancer. No, I promise, I never, ever, ever want students to feel that, I'm not a dancer, I don't know how to move, I don't know what to do with myself, my body. Absolutely not. It's not dance training at all. You are also not expected to have any particular level of knowledge in anything. We kind of teach as if you've all kind of come out of Leaving Cert or come in as mature students and you've no particular experience with drama and theatre studies. So absolutely fantastic if you do, if you've been speech and drama, if you've been involved in youth theatres, if you've done stage school, all of that, that's fantastic. But you do not have to have done any of that. And we teach from the basics up. So like, for example, in the first semester, first year, the very first module that you take is Intro to Drama and Theatre Studies. And essentially what we do within that is we give an overview of so much. We give an overview of everything that's kind of happened in theatre and going on in theatre. And we teach from that way up. So we teach our theoretical modules as if you have no experience within it. And we also teach our practical modules that way too. If you've never moved, if you've never acted, if you've never directed, it doesn't matter. We're teaching as if you don't know how to do that. If you do, fantastic, bonus. We'll be able to develop your skills even more that way. But if you don't feel nervous about it. Nothing is specifically expected of you when you come in except a willingness to learn. That's kind of the biggest thing, an open mind and a willingness to learn. Will there be singing in this course? There's no, again, it's similar to dance. There's no specific focus on it. So you do modules on performance and music, and there would be some elements within that. In some of the shows actually that I've worked on with students, the device shows, we've actually put some singing into them, because we've decided, to do that for the shows. So there can be elements, but there's no like specific singing training module or anything like that. Does this course cover directing? Yes. So in fourth year, you do a module on directing and writing for theatre specifically, and you get to work within that module specifically on learning how to direct, but also you will have the opportunity throughout, as I said, through working with different theatre companies, through working on different projects and shows that are going on around Limerick. You'd actually be amazed at how much opportunity and experience you have to learn those kind of skills through doing work like that as well. I'd like to ask about this which will there be guidance in the course for your first day? Oh, yeah, absolutely. We are, overly friendly. We get to know you very quickly from day one. Trust me, I'll know all your names. I'll know if you're not in class. Any of my own students having a look at this will laugh at that. Yes, we very much, take you in, you become part of the gang. Obviously, cats, it's contemporary applied theatre studies, but we're referred to as the cats. And, we talk about the cats as a group of people. We're really, really lucky in that our students are so kind and so generous with their time, and that we create such a little community together. So like, for example, when you're in first year doing your first year show, the second and fourth years will come and help out. So they'll run the front of house, they'll sell tickets, they'll promote the show, all of that kind of thing. So you get to know the other years very, very well. So you become this very kind of nice, close-knit group of people. The older years are always there for you to ask questions to, and they're always really, really kind and really, really supportive. But also us as staff members, we are literally always around. I operate an open door policy on my office. And yeah, absolutely, we are always there to kind of to help you out, and we very, very much give guidance, and from day one you're part of the family. Does this course cover elements of community theatre? Yes, it does. Absolutely. So there are modules. You do a specific module in community theatre in second year, in which you work with, and you work on workshops that can be delivered to different groups within the community. So, some for people with differing kind of levels of ability and all of that. Absolutely, there is a focus on community theatre, and you do work on that throughout. How intense is the course? I mean, look, it's a full-time programme, and we expect your commitment to it. So essentially, as the head of department will say, 9 to 6, Monday to Friday during the semester, your hours. The performance modules themselves have quite long days. So the performance modules, all three, the major performance modules, all three of them, you will have 2 full days a week for the entire semester. So you'll have 16 hours for one module. Now, obviously, theoretical modules are much more kind of a 2-hour lecture and a 1-hour tutorial and all that kind of thing. But I mean, it's intense enough, and we ask for your commitment. Obviously, students have lives, have jobs, have all, different kinds of things. A lot of our students get involved in MIDAS and in the main musical that happens every March. And we encourage that to a certain extent. But we will always say, but you signed up for this course, and this course comes first. So, I mean, we do expect hard work and dedication, but it's not that you are in class from 9 to 6 Monday to Friday. No, not at all. Your performance modules are much higher on contact hours, but your theoretical modules, a lot of most of the hours to do with that will be reading and stuff like that. So yeah, it's intense, but it's very, very doable. Yes, and Jade, one of our phenomenal tutors, has just chimed in there saying we love engaging with our students, and that is very true. And I should probably start wrapping this up now, because it's me. I always rabbit on for a very long time. It's the drama student in me, But on that, I will say that, If anything I've said here today is interesting to you, look us up on the Mary I website, or even find me on Instagram. You'll find me from the MIC page. We've Jade there, who's one of our fantastic tutors. We're very open. We're very up for engaging, up for chatting, up for being supportive, all that kind of thing. So when will Mary I go live on Instagram again? So the next Instagram live session is going to be this Thursday, the 7th of May at 11 a.m. And it will be Dr. Geraldine Brosnan from the Student Support Services. And it's on Student Support Services, and she is the Director of Student Life. So that will be a much more kind of a general MIC type of a talk. But yeah, so that's Dr. Geraldine Brosnan on Thursday, the 7th of May at 11 a.m. So thank you very much for listening in, for tuning in. Thank you for all of your comments and questions. As I said, anything further, please feel free to message the MIC page. You can message me, or you can find all of our info up on the MIC website. Thank you very much, and talk to you later.